6 of them and took it down all the time. And they had navicular, which I don't know if you know what that is. There's a little bone in the center of the ball of the foot that gets popsicles on it, and they go lame. Well, back then there was only 2 cures: either put them down or nerve them. But one thing that I had learned in school was that bone doesn't heal, or it doesn't regrow, but it'll knit if you put it in the right environment. So I tried the minerals that were available. They were all salt-based minerals, and I was getting nowhere. And I ran into an agronomist in Phoenix. So I fly to Phoenix. I was living in California. So I came to Phoenix, and he says, I have no idea what this is. He says, this is way above me. He says, but try it. It's a mineral. So I took it home and I tried it, and it worked. So I said, there's something to this. And I called him back. I says, where do you get this? Well, between the time I went home and I called back, he had died. So the trail to where the product was ended right there for a while. So I dug and dug and dug. And I finally found the source. There's 2 places on planet Earth where this product is. And one of them just happens to be in the United States. So I got the product, I started using it, and I was 50 years ahead of my time. And everybody looked at me and says, you're crazy, this stuff, you can't do that. Okay. So we kept using it, kept finding more things that it did. Long story short, Mother Nature's a great lady. If you give her what she needs, she can work with that. If you give her modern chemistry that masks one thing and creates another one, she can't work with that. So by working with it now for 55 years, I have found a lot of uses for it. One of them being, our animals like us, there's no mineral left in our food. By design, they've taken it all out. That helps Big Pharma go out and sell pills. So animals get sore for 2 reasons. One, food that they don't have, and they're not made to be ridden, but we ride them. So we're using muscles and yada yada. So I figured out that if we started replacing the cell structure and the enzymes that they need to move forward, it would help them, and it did. We also have the ability, all naturally, to help rejuvenate the synovial fluids in the joints. It takes care of the inflammation in the heavy muscle. It doesn't fix structural. If a horse is structurally bad, he needs Vicki or chiropractors or Dr. Angela. They need that. But as long as it's soft tissue or bone that needs to be knitted, CellAide has gone crazy. I'm going to tell you a real short story. November of last year, I got a phone call from a gentleman. We talked for an hour. He ordered a gallon. 3 days after he got his order, he called me back and ordered a case. Within a week after that, he called me back and ordered 5 cases. And I'm thinking to myself, is this guy drinking it, or what's he doing with all this product? He's in the Midwest. In about 2 weeks later, he calls me up and he orders 15 cases. I said, okay, you gotta help me out here. He says, we have got a lot of horses. We've used a lot of products and they haven't worked. This is doing everything that you said it would do. And of course, I was very skeptical when you told me what it would do. I said, okay, I understand that. So they no longer buy it by the case. They now buy it by the 55-gallon drum. Number one, they don't have internet. They don't have cell phones. They don't have radios. They don't have automobiles. They don't read newspapers. It's the Amish. They have a tremendous amount of horses that, and they're, by their own admission, they torture these horses. They're basically standard bred, which are high need trotters. They hook to these buggies, they trot them down asphalt roads, do basically 20 miles a day on them. Or they come home, change horses and go again. They do all their farming with the percherons. So they're very horse oriented. 3 weeks ago, they called me up and asked me to come to their celebration, which is where they show their horses, and it's a celebration for the Amish. And I said I would go. So I go back there, not knowing what to expect. And a lot of people came up and thanked me. They're very quiet, serene, cautious people. But they came up and they talked to me. I was an outsider. There was only one guy that didn't come up and congratulate me. He was the guy that owned the feed store. They on an average would buy $1,000 to $1,500 a month per family of supplement. Well, they're not buying supplements anymore. They don't need it. And he was a little upset with me. And I told him, I says, you know, I'm sorry that your business has fallen off. Can I tell him what I really said?
No.
I basically told him when all these supplement companies are pulling out of the same trough, but naming it different, crap is still crap. You know, it works for a little while. I don't know if you guys look at ads or follow ads, but there's a new supplement comes out every 3 or 4 months. And the ones that were ahead of them, you don't hear about them anymore. There's a reason for that. But anyway, that's who we are. That's where we came from. We're not going anywhere. You want to tell them what you want?
I'm gonna give you some stories. So I have a teacup Chihuahua. Her name's Tina. She weighs 3 pounds. She is the ranch dog, and she has flea allergies. And I don't care what we do. I've used oils. I've used a ton of stuff to repel them, but all it takes is one flea to bite her, and she will chew her whole back, all her paws off, rub her eyes. She gives herself a little ulcer on her eye. And we were in California a year ago, and Judy says, put the CellAide on her. And I said, well, she gets it, you know, because she gets it in her drinking water. No, bathe her in it. I kid you not. I went from a raw, because she's white, so she's just red raw body, to shiny white in less than 30 days. And something in the CellAide has repelled the fleas. So I'm not saying we don't have fleas, but I'm not having the problem I have, and I don't have a chewed up dog. She'll get one on her every once in a while, but we don't have the I'm embarrassed to take her in public, let's put a dress on her dog. The other thing he didn't talk about is the fertilizer. The fertilizer is amazing. It's all natural minerals. Have any of y'all had your soil tested? There is no magnesium in our soil. Our food does not have magnesium in it. My soil tested with magnesium in it. And it's what I use in we do our gardening in troughs because it's just easy for us. We don't need a ginormous rows. And so we've been using the mineral now, 8 months? And I have a humongous garden. We've had more veggies and fruit grow than we've had. And yeah, if y'all don't know, I'm from Texas and we've been in a drought. We have only had probably about 3 inches of rain for the year, which is not good. We have a patch that when you come to our house, we have a party pad, and we have an area that we treated with the mineral, and then we have an area that gets the same watering, the same everything, but we didn't give it mineral. And it's like green and yuck. It's just and it's got a lot of weeds in it. The one we treated with the mineral does not have any weeds. It's just grass. And the other thing that's weird is we raise border collies. Is all the border collies want to go and stay in that area. They go and they drag their bellies in it. They roll in it. We'll see them running around the yard, and they'll come back to where the mineral is and roll. Now we got enough, I got him to get me enough to treat our horse pastures and our hay field, but we haven't had any rain. So we've just put it off until we get some moisture. I mean, we got cracks this big out there. I have a lot of people ask me what I feed Lucy. Lucy, our dogs are on a mix of raw diet and kibbles, and she gets the joint works every day in her water. He didn't mention there's three different, they're not supplements, they're food grade.
Right.
It's fermented, and because it's fermented, the body absorbs it immediately. When I was talking about my puppy, that's what we used on the puppy as well and she still gets it, but she drinks it in her water. So my horses are on it, my dogs are on it, my chickens are on it. We were having problems with bumblefoot. Y'all know what that is? It's an infection that the chickens get on the bottom of their feet. It's usually from high moisture, which we don't have right now. And so when we started putting that in the water, it just went away. We haven't had it at all. So, but it's no lice. Yeah, we don't have lice. We don't have food. The flies, Melissa told me this story, that she went to a dressage clinic and in Florida, and they put all the horses in these paddocks. And so each one of the participants is picking the poop in their pens. And several people noticed that they were having a horrible fly problem, but her horse didn't have any flies on it. It has garlic root in it, which helps to repel the flies. Yeah. So please come back and talk to us, because it's an amazing, amazing product. And I will have samples of the gummies. Oh, I left out. So the Joint Works is the horse or animal product, and the gummies is the human version of it. But I still take the Joint Works for horses. I put it in my coffee. Because I don't like it
In closing,
sweet.
I would like to say one more thing. There are several people in this room that have helped CellAide get to where it is. I love her to death because she is the one that came to me and did the work. And that's Dr. Nancy Brandt. And she did a hell of a job. And I appreciate her every day.